Welcome back to the Rob Dibble Show. Ben Darnell, Kirk Kaplan, John Ashmead in the house. We're all filling in for Dibs. He's on a cruise. He'll be back soon. Should be on Monday. Looking forward to that. Talking some baseball as John's already peppering me with Cub stuff, man. Yes, it's official. Justin Turner, the red leprechaun that I was wanting the Chicago Cubs to sign years ago, is officially a Chicago Cub. Anything else happening in the mix? Anything for your Red Sox lately?
No, I think we got Matt Moore. Signed him to a minor league deal, 35-year-old pitcher. Just adding some vet presence, I think, to this young ball club now.
Wasn't Matt Moore a quarterback? Didn't he play for the Panthers? I think he was a backup for the Panthers back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Possibly.
Man.
He's doing it all.
Two-trick pony.
Yeah.
Two-trick pony. So John is always courtside. He's got the best seats in the house. Everybody should be jealous of him, home or away, for UConn men's basketball. As we said earlier, you can find him in the hat. He is the guy that's on the scores table right next to Hurley. He looks like Travis Kelce's little brother. And you are up close and personal, and you're a hoopster. You know a lot about these teams. You dig in. You kind of have more of the behind the scenes, I think, than a lot of people. It's as close to the action our friend Don Amore from the Hartford Courant is. He still doesn't know exactly how these guys put their shorts on. John's right there when they're changing in the locker room. So too much, Kurt? I'm telling you, this guy's inside. He's an insider.
He's traveling.
They don't let me in the locker room.
Well, he is traveling with the team, so not only the UConn team, but you get to see a lot of the behind the scenes for all of the schools in the Big East Conference. Just to run it down for people, St. John's has been on top basically for about 2 months. They're 14-2 in conference play, and they are 23-4 now overall. 20-6 is Marquette. They're tied with Creighton, both at 11-4 in conference play. Creighton 18-8. That's tied overall with UConn's overall record 18-8. UConn in the 4 spot at 10-5. Behind them is Xavier, followed by Villanova, Georgetown, Providence, Butler, Seton Hall, and DePaul. UConn in that 4 spot, and this is kind of significant for the Big East tournament. 4 will play 5. They basically, it breaks down where the top 5 will move on to the final 8. Like everybody gets a bye basically to the final 8. Then it's an 18 bracket from there. If you get into that 3 spot, you get to play one of those earlier teams that maybe their legs are a little bit tired in the 1, 2, and 3 games. But 4, 5 is where UConn is living right now. And we have challenged John to help everyone get schooled on some of these others that you may not know about in the Big East. It's time for John Ashmead's top 5 Big East players most people don't know about. Looking forward to this, man. Kurt and I looking forward to it. I wrote down some as well that are some of my faves. Let's see if you hit any of those. But top 5, you say you have some honorable mentions to start out that did not make the list.
Definitely some honorable mentions. If you're a UConn fan, you definitely know these guys. We got Ryan Kalkbrenner,
of course,
Eric Dixon. These guys have been in the league for maybe 6-7 years, it feels like.
Well, I think Kalkbrenner might be like 2 years younger than Eric Dixon. Eric Dixon's been there since I've been in town, man. Yeah. I've been here for 8 years, and I've never not seen that guy.
But those are the 2 biggest guys in our league right there.
Must-knows, I would say.
Must-knows.
If you don't know these 2, you really don't follow the Big East.
Exactly. They're also top 3 in scoring. Eric Dixon leads the nation and the Big East in scoring, and Ryan Kalkbrenner's 3rd in the Big East in scoring with 18.7 points per game. But those guys didn't even crack my top 5.
Not even in the top 5. Top 5 of John Ashmead, Big East players most people don't know about. Number 5.
I was going to go no order, but I did just order them for you.
All right, good.
Number 5, I got Ryan Conwell of Xavier.
Who?
You don't know Ryan
Conwell? What's this kid all about?
This dude is a 3-point machine. He's actually 4th in the Big East in 3-pointers made per game.
Okay.
And he's just a scoring threat. This guy is a bucket getter. I think he is the main, besides Fremantle, he is the number 2 on that team in the scouting report for UConn. It comes down to locking down Ryan Conwell, not letting him get the ball, not letting him heat up. He's a quick microwave type of guy. Once he gets going, he's going. So
I love the start of this. Have you ever heard of Ryan Conwell, Kurt?
Oh,
no,
nice,
me either.
Nice. All right, you guys are going to learn some stuff today.
Xavier's cranking it up, too. As I mentioned, Xavier in the 5th spot. We would match up with them if the season ended today in the Big East tournament.
Yeah, I mean, both Xavier games this year were battles, complete battles, and 1-1.
Number 4.
All right, number 4, we got a guy from Georgetown. Did you guys know someone in the league averages more minutes than Alex Karaban?
Can't be right. No way. That's
Karaban plays almost 40 minutes every night, and there's
Sometimes
someone
more than
in
that.
the league who
Overtime.
averages more than him. Micah Peavy from Georgetown.
Mike Peavy?
Micah.
Oh, Micah Peavy.
Micah Peavy.
Not the pitcher from the San Diego Padres.
no.
Micah Peavy.
Yes.
He averages more minutes per game than Alex Karaban.
Karaban averages 36.
It's a lot.
Peavy averages 36.5.
Wow. Wow.
But he
Now-
also played in 2 more games. He's played in every game. Karaban had to sit, 2 games because of his ankle there.
Georgetown right now 7-8. Now they get a lot of the should win games. Coach Cooley's taken care of Providence a couple of times. They beat Seton Hall. They beat DePaul. They have had some tough ones with some of them, but they are a thorn in the side. UConn had some trouble with Georgetown, and they pulled it out in the end. But Georgetown and this particular cat Peavy, as much as we know of Coach Cooley, must be very trusted by Coach Cooley
Yeah,
to get those kind of
no doubt.
numbers. Number 3.
All right, you guys probably know this guy. He's on Kurt's all-time name list. We got Wooga Poplar.
Oh, Wooga. How could we forget? We just saw this guy at the XL hitting threes in the first half.
And this guy just makes tough shots. Like, he just gets buckets, and he's been there. He's been in some big moments. I know he played for Miami the past 3 seasons
Right.
before he transferred.
Right.
He's been to the Final Four. This guy, he could be climbing up some draft boards. I've been looking at mock drafts. I haven't really seen his name. I think Hurley said after the last game, though, he would not be shocked if a guy like this went into the first round. He's a first-round talent right there.
Now, from what I've heard on the streets, through the grapevine, behind closed doors, highest spent on NIL to get him to transfer.
Wow, I did not
as
know
far as
that.
money goes. I don't know about keeping kids,
Right.
But as far as money for transferring, Wooga Poplar, top of the list, very popular. Number 2.
All right, I think a lot of people know this name here. He's the only freshman on this list, actually. We got Thomas Sorber.
On my list.
Yep.
Bing, bing, bing.
Another dude from Georgetown.
Yeah.
This guy is just an animal.
You must know Thomas Sorber, and I'm not surprised a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
First of all, he's on Georgetown, and just listening, if Peavy's playing more minutes than Sorber, they must not have a big rotation for Georgetown. It must be slim pickings to get off that bench. But Sorber is only, 18 years old?
Yeah, he's a freshman. He's tied for rebounds in the league with Kalkbrenner. They average 8.5, and
That's saying something.
this man
right
is
there.
just outside the top 10
Yep.
in points scored per game. He's 14th in the Big East. He gives you 14.5 points per game. I mean, this dude is just dominant.
And this is why I think people need to know about this guy. Like, if Georgetown was going to do what they did a few years ago and run the table in the Big East tournament and actually score the championship, Sorber is going to be a huge reason why.
Yeah.
Like, this kid, Kurt, is on the cusp of turning into an NBA talent like now. It will go Liam McNeely. He will be the first person drafted out of the Big East. Then it will be Thomas Sorber.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
It might flip.
Yeah.
Like, if Thomas Sorber has just a dominant performance in the Big East tournament, he could get the top billing as far as draft pick goes from the conference.
Listing is 6'10", 255. What does he look like?
And growing. He's filling out. That's the thing
He's not a stick.
he's not a stick, and he's going to get thicker. Like, he's a kid. He's out of high school. And like what happened when all of us turned 20 for the first time, we start drinking and eating a lot of pizzas. He is going to fill out. I just think that there's a couple of kids in the Big East that you're not going to see after this year. Liam McNeely, Thomas Sorber, enjoy him while he lasts. He's a problem, dude. He's on my list as well. He should be known.
Yes.
And
Yes.
but I don't blame people to not know of this guy.
I mean,
yet.
if you're looking at NBA mock drafts like I am weekly,
Yeah.
he's in the top 15. NBA mock drafts
Yeah.
have him going 11th overall next year. So Georgetown should appreciate what they have while they have him.
Well, the other thing too is Georgetown. I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking about Hibbert, Ewing, just quality big men, top to bottom from Georgetown in the history of that program, and this is another one. Number 1.
All right, this guy right here, with my own eyes, I think is the most impressive player I've seen this season. He's on St. John's. He's just another bucket getter. You need a hoop, you give him the ball. R.J. Lewis Jr.
Wow, not Kadari Richmond.
No, not Kadari. This dude, I think this dude, R.J. Lewis, is another first-round pick NBA talent. His efficiency from the mid-range, if he gets inside that three-point line, a shot's going up, and it's going in most of the time. And not to mention, he's grabbing rebounds too. He's fourth in the Big East in rebounds per game at 7.2. He really just does what the team needs to get the win.
A quintessential get for Patino this year.
Yeah.
Like this, Kadari, Lewis Jr.
R.J. Lewis Jr.
Now, he was the one who tore us up at Stores. Like, I was worried about Kadari, and I think the game plan was as well, and he was not a factor, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
Lewis Jr. was everywhere, whether it was on offense or cleaning up the glass on defense or just blocking people on defense. Like, that dude controls the paint, at least against us, and that's hard to say with Sampson and Terrace running around. I love that list.
Thank you.
I love that list. I had Kadari on mine, and I scratched it out because people should know Kadari.
Yeah,
Richmond.
honestly, he would have cracked my list, but I think if you're a UConn fan, you should know who Kadari Richmond is.
Just an interesting story for him. I imagine he was on the recruiting trail for Hurley, and he ended up choosing Syracuse at first and then goes to Seton Hall last year and then makes his way to Patino's St. John's. And it's really paid off for him as far as his basketball journey's gone. But pairing him with Lewis Jr., I think, was the secret sauce.
That's a 1-2 punch right there.
Ooh, big one in Madison Square Garden this weekend, by the way. All right, number 5, I have Ryan Conwell from Xavier, three-point assassin. And this was the best one, I think, from you because I don't know Ryan Conwell. Okay. I thought I know a lot about the Big East.
Nice.
Got to look this kid up. PV, I know about most minutes in the conference. He is John Ashmead's number 4 player of the Big East. Most people don't know about. I think people after Tuesday know Wooga.
Yeah. That's
around here.
Yeah, around here.
Around here. Yeah. Wooga Poplar. We will see him. The name helps. We will see him again from Villanova. Villanova right in the mix as well. They could sneak into that 5 spot.
Honestly, a player on Villanova I think is very underrated is their point guard, Jamar Brickus.
Yeah, Brickus.
I wanted to get him in my list somehow, but just the way he commands that offense is so impressive. Like, he knows who he has on his team, and he gets them the ball.
I thought him shying away at the end of the game kind of cost Villanova.
Yeah,
they kind of went to the Eric Dixon, like, let's make something happen. People are going to collapse. You kick it out.
Yeah.
And, again, credit Terrace Reed on that one-on-one defense against Dixon, shutting that down. But I agree with you. Brickus is a handful, and he was in the first half of the XL. Number 2 was Mr. Sorber, Thomas Sorber, one you must know if you're a Big East fan moving forward, because he is going to be a problem from Georgetown. And then Lewis Jr., your number 1 from St. John's. That is a great list, my man. Great list. I got 2 that did not make your list. And I know a lot of people know this first one, but I just love this kid. But I hate him. I wish he was on our team, but boy, is this little pipsqueak just a thorn in our side.
Oh, I already know who you're talking about.
Who do you think?
Stephen Ashworth?
Ashworth, dude. This Ashworth guy, just his basketball story is incredible. Like, he has scratched and clawed to be exactly where he's at right now and totally taken advantage of his opportunity. Like, if anybody does not know Ashworth, just imagine, like, the little kid on the block that always wants to play basketball, but you never want to let him because he's like too small and like you might hurt him. But turns out this kid's got handles and can shoot from anywhere. Like, love the way this guy passes. I think he's cruising for some kind of all Big East team. I don't think it's going to be first team, but I think he's definitely going to get some nods from the conference as far as awards go. And again, Creighton needs him.
Yeah. I mean,
Creighton
they lost Shireman. I'm blanking on the other shooting guard.
Isaiah Pops Isaac.
Yep, Pops Isaac. But what's his name from last year? Trey Alexander.
Oh,
so
Trey. Yeah, he's in the NBA.
Those two guys, Baylor and him, were running the offense, and Stephen Ashworth just took over, man.
Man, I don't even think about that this year. You're so right. Like, Baylor Shireman and Trey Alexander were huge for Creighton.
He's filling those shoes.
Right. And, with everybody else that they brought in, and Coach McDermott knows what he's doing over there. All right, my number 1 that you don't have, and I want all the UConn people to know about this guy as well, but they don't know about him yet either. I feel like you are the only one I can talk to about this guy because you are the only one that gets to see this as well, because you get get to go to warm-ups. You get to go to practice every now and then. And you knew this guy before he got here because you follow the recruiting stuff. This guy was on a great high school that took on Cooper Flagg and Liam McNeely. I'm talking about Isaiah Abraham. Dude,
yeah.
I love this guy. And I know maybe the offense or the defense, he's not in the right place. He can't grasp that college stuff just yet. But, man, I hope he doesn't transfer. I want him to stay on UConn because I just think as far as athleticism goes, and this is the guy. This is the guy that we've been waiting for, like the Tyrese Martin, Stephon Castle, the guy that doesn't play, that if we get into a fight, we are turning to this guy to lead the way and lead the charge. Isaiah Abrahams is awesome. He is awesome. He just hasn't been on the court, and no one's actually seen it. You've got to be on the bus. Right. You got to go to practice. You got to do the behind-the-scenes stuff to realize how awesome Isaiah is. I hope he stays, man. We were talking about that too. Like, I want to talk about some of these other schools as well that have some great basketball programs in their state of Connecticut. But we were talking about just Alex Karaban. We were looking at the draft mocks before we started this segment, and just looking at Kalkbrenner. Kalkbrenner was right in the middle of things, top of the second round. He has fallen down to about the 36, 37 spot. Alex Karaban, same spot when he went out. He has fallen drastically to the 49, 50, 51, end of the second round, kind of where Tristan Newton got drafted last year. I don't know what the decisions. I think Kalkbrenner's done. Like, there's no way he's got eligibility. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised nowadays in the NCAA. But I do know Alex Karaban has one more year. And I think it will be a discussion after this season is over if Alex is actually going to exercise that same right that he has to dip his toe in the draft. If he's not going to get picked high, come back, man. Come right back because he's got another year of eligibility. I do want to put some shine on some of these other schools, man. We talk too much UConn around here. Listen, we're flagship. We run the games. We got Bob Joyce sitting over there in his office. John Ashmeads over here. He's the engineer of UConn Sports Network. So, yeah, we talk about a lot of UConn, and everybody loves it around here. That's great. But I will say Yale's kicking butt, Quinnipiac's kicking butt, and CCSU is having a great season. So, Yale, just to go over some of these numbers, UConn right now, as far as net ranking, they're sitting at 35, 36, 37, just out of the top 25. They beat St. John's. They might move back into the top 25 after this weekend. 15, though, in the Ken Palm rating. So the Ken Palm ratings take all these statistics, put it through a math equation, and they poop out a better rating than what you see from the coaches poll or the AP poll. What? Poop out? Poop. That's it. That's what he says. It's not my words. It's Ken Palm. So in the Ken Palm rating, and with all those statistics boiled out and pooped out, UConn is sitting at 15, which is great. I mean, that's better than 36 and 35, which sounds like an at-large bid, even if they don't win the Big East tournament. For Yale, their Ken Palm and their net rankings kind of similar. They're right around the 65 mark. Now, they are in a conference that they have to win. However, undefeated in that conference so far. They are sitting at the top of the pile in the Ivy League. Only 4 teams will make the Ivy League tournament. A lot of parity in between 2 through the bottom. Like, anyone can make those spots. But Yale is cruising for the number 1 spot in the Ivy League conference tournament, which doesn't mean that they're going to make the tournament. They have had to have some last-second shots in the last couple of years to get into that tournament and win the Ivy League. But our Yale Bulldogs doing real well. I just want to bring up American East just because we got a lot of schools in this area. I know UHart's not in that anymore. They dropped down to D3. Bryant right now on the top of that pile. Maine's got a great team. Vermont, always good in that tournament. Watch out for them. Their team or their fan base travels so well. But Bryant is actually 17-10 on the season, so a respectable overall record in the American East. Quinnipiac is 12-3 in their conference right now, and they're 16-10 overall. Sacred Heart is kind of like meh, in the middle. Fairfield, big time drop off from last year. Big time drop off. 16-10 though. Quinnipiac looking good, and just like Yale, just like Bryant and those American East schools, that's a one big league, man. You got to win your conference tournament. But that's the beauty of the NCAA tournament. That's all you got to do. CCSU, though, Blue Devils, what's gotten into you? What has gotten into the Blue Devils, Kurt? 10-2 in the NEC top spot. And again, just like everybody else, they're going to have to win their tournament, but it's
Right.
going to be a lot easier as a number 1 seed than anything else. 19-6.
Impressive.
19-6. There have been years when we're sitting here talking about Blue Devil basketball and we're laughing. We're making fun of you because you got about 2, 3, 4 wins, and not conference play, like overall wins. What has gotten into our fellas over there in New Britain? Hard hitting, man. Hard hitting. Going to have to follow the Blue Devils. Going to have to follow Quinnipiac. Going to have to follow our Yale Bulldogs and then everybody else. Listen, Sacred Heart Fairfield, they still got a shot. This is the beauty of the NCAA basketball tournament. I don't know if they're going to ruin it. Kurt, you know they're going to ruin it. They're going to add, I think we're going to 76?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, 76.
Like this year, they're doing that?
No, I think
sorry.
it's coming up. It's coming up, though.
Wow.
You know it's coming.
When that happens, they will ruin it. But right now, with what we are still holding on to, I just hate how it's going to ruin the paperwork. Like,
I want it to fit on one page,
one sheet,
and I want to
man.
be able to read it.
Exactly. Thank you, Kurt. I've got bad eyesight as well. But this is the beauty of this year and every year with the NCAA tournament in every sport. I love this for baseball and everything else except for college football. It's the only one that doesn't do it. Ooh. Yeah. So if you win your tournament, you get in. There's always hope at the end. We have seen some Cinderellas. Georgetown was one of them. I know it didn't work out for them in the NCAAs, but that was probably the best coaching week in Patrick Ewing's coaching history, was winning that Big East tournament and punching a ticket to the NCAAs easily. And for all these coaches, man, we talk about this all the time in these studios, the mid-major basketball coach out there that's just pulling his hair out. He's got one good player. He's going to be gone by April to another school. Like, this guy is just borrowing and stealing across the world for players. And all of a sudden they get into the NCAA tournament. Man, it is a life changer for all of these guys. And even Fairfield, Sacred Heart, they're not having the best of seasons now. They still have the opportunity to win their conference tournament and play with the big boys in the big dance. So there's your basketball report from Connecticut. John Ashmeads, top 5 Big East players most people don't know about. Love it. Great work, John Ashmead. When we come back, let's dig in a little bit more on UConn hoops, men's and women's, with the mayor, Wayne Norman from the UConn Sports Network.